Welcome to Lead Your Life, the podcast for people who are seeking harmony in business and in life. My name is Debbie Heiser, and I'm an inner mastery and business mindset coach and the chief igniter here at the Lit Up Life. I feel an urgency to help people let go of past messaging so that they can make a lot of money doing what they love without sacrificing what they value most. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Straight from the corners of my mind is where I find my sanity. It's a place, another land.
Hello. Welcome to this episode of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. This podcast, we're going to dive into some powerful insights, strategies, and universal law to help you design the life and your business the way you truly desire it. I am your host, Debbie Heiser. I'm coming to you today from a little bit different background. I'm at my house. I got a new puppy, and so I've been trying to spend a little bit of time at home until we get used to each other. And so my background looks a little different for those of you on YouTube, but today, we're talking about one of the most transformative principles in the universe, and one of the things that I found that has transformed my life the most, and that's the law of attraction. So if you've ever wondered how to bring more of what you want into your life, whether it's a relationship, opportunities, a job, or even some type of material success, and I don't even love the word success, but material item, this episode then is for you, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about the general law of attraction and then some themes or things that I've found to work with the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is based on a simple but really profound idea. We attract and are magnetized to the things that vibrate at the same frequency as we do. Now, this might sound a little woo-woo, and you all know me, I have some woo here, but bear with me here because this includes ideas, opportunities, people, circumstances, thoughts, feelings, and even those material items. Now, ultimately, what happens is we have this metaphysical down here, and in order to vibrate at a certain frequency to bring it into our life, we have to go on this path to then make it into form. That's the law of transmutational energy, creating it into form. Now, where we get stuck sometimes is this path between the two. And we go into monkey brain and we tell ourselves all sorts of things that then lowers our vibration, making it where we're not attracting that then into our life. So as we look at this, you've heard me say a gazillion times that what you focus on with our thoughts and our emotions is what gets bigger. It's what's drawn towards us. So we just did a vision board night. The reason I do those is because subconsciously then your mind has taken on that this is your focus of where you want to head, the vision that you have. And even if you're not consciously moving with it, it's subconsciously working in your brain. So we're going to explore this a little more deeply. And I'm going to break down some key themes that I've found that have related to this law. So the first one is desire and interest. So you've heard me talk about desire before. And when you truly desire something, you set up this line of energy, and it's a force that connects you with that metaphysical, the invisible side of that desire. So when you think about that, if you desire something, that means it already exists. It may not be in the physical form, but in substance, right? In the thoughts, in the emotions, in the desire. So your desire then is what motivates, or it's that motivating power for calling it into reality. So let's think of it this way. When the desire is already out there, and you've claimed this desire, that desire is like a signal. It's like a beacon signal, and it's guiding you toward it. So if you're earnestly interested in something, your mind then becomes focused on finding it. And then you begin noticing those opportunities or the path that leads you towards fulfilling that desire. Now, this is also considered to be the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, or the frequency illusion, which basically says that once you become aware of something specific, it shows up more frequently than before. I've talked about before how I never saw a Subaru ever on the road. And then I bought a Subaru and all of a sudden I saw them everywhere. This is the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. So we're becoming aware of it. We have that desire. And now as we become aware of it, it's around us everywhere. And the more awareness we have, the more we focus on then what we want, right? So our awareness has risen, and then the brain also starts to filter and it looks for whatever it is that you desire. There's a book out there called E Squared, and I get it for all of my mastermind folks. And it has you do a few of these exercises to help prove to you. And I remember doing I think it's the second one. The second exercise asked you to pick a color of a vehicle. Excuse me. And I picked green. And then all of a sudden I was seeing green motorcycles, green bicycles, green cars, green trucks. And I had never really noticed green. I was trying to be tricky, right? Because you don't see a lot of green cars. And so what happens then is this confirms or adds to the evidence in your evidence bank that what you're focusing on actually gets bigger, right? And it helps you realize that, okay, I have a choice here, law of polarity, to focus on what I don't want or what I do want. Because that's the catch, you see. In life, that which interests us is what we tend to focus on. But what happens is we can pass blindly by other things. But as we focus, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in intention, as we focus on things that we don't want, that same thing comes true. So I want to go back and state this. We see in life that which interests us the most, and often we pass blindly by things of little interest. So that's why the awareness is so important, because until you become aware, you're not as interested. So then really the question becomes, what are you focusing on and what are you interested in? Are you paying attention to the things that will lead you to what you want? Or are you being distracted by things that don't serve your greater desire? I know I was distracted before by busyness. I was distracted before by thinking that I had this super busy schedule, and a lot of people around me think I'm super busy. Now, I have a large capacity to do a lot of things, but I'm not that busy. I don't have a ton of things going on every night. And now that I have a dog, that's a little different because I'm taking him on walks and doing things with him. But it's about thinking about, are we being distracted, right? Are we using things as an excuse not to step into what we really want? And be noticeable of that. Sometimes the excuse is a spouse, and we think that they don't want us to do that. When 9 times out of 10, when I talk to people, and really it's more like 99.9% of the time when I talk to people, those are expectations or things that they've put on themselves. That other person did not say those things at all. And 9 times out of 10 want to support their spouse, right? So when we think about how we get distracted, we think about what we're focusing on, be really curious and interested in what aligns with your heart's desire. And that's why a lot of times I'm always talking about helping people get clear, right? Getting some awareness, getting really clear on that awareness, healing that awareness, and then remapping a new message within your brain. And that helps you get really clear. And once you have clarity, then you're in the law of non-resistance. You're not resisting, you're in heaven, right? Because you're in flow. So be curious, ask yourself, what am I being distracted by? And what are the things that I really want? And we've been taught not to say those things. So if you find yourself getting a little nervous about saying that, it goes even back to one of my favorite movies, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The little girl that stated what she wanted looked like a brat. And what happened when she ate the candy? She's like, I want, I want, I want. And then she blew up as this big blueberry, right? So we've also been taught that when we say what we want, we're being selfish, or when we say what we want, we're being a brat. That's not the case. That's a lie. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back and talk a little bit more about the themes that construct into this law of attraction. Let's talk about something every entrepreneur faces: selling. It's one of the biggest topics I hear from my community and clients. How can I sell without feeling the ick? I get it. And that's exactly why I created an ebook that guides you through the same script I use to grow my business year after year by leading sales conversations with heart and soul. If you want a selling approach that feels right, Head over to thelituplife.com/ebook and grab your copy today. Now, let's get back to today's episode. Okay, we just wrapped up the whole idea about desire and interest and the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon and what we see in life. So paying attention to what you want, not getting distracted, but being aware of the distractions that you might have. Now, the second part of this is attention. And these kind of work hand in hand, obviously, because they're under the same law. But this idea of attention, or what we're focusing on, and I mentioned this earlier, what we focus on grows larger. So our desire and our interests naturally draw our attention to things. I was kind of thinking about getting a dog, went out and I Googled what dogs don't shed a lot of hair because I can't do the hair thing. And, there were a few things that I said that would stop me from getting a dog. One was putting my hand in a plastic sack and picking up what they left on the ground. But that actually, now that I have this dog and I had such a desire to have this puppy, it that went away, right? Because the attention was on the actual puppy that I had. So, which I'll tell you that story some other time, because I watched this dog online for about 4 weeks. And this dog was meant to be my dog. But anyway, so I want to think about this, that when we think about attention, when we have a desire and an interest, it naturally draws our attentions to things. But when we're on this pathway into creating it into form, we can go into all of these different thought processes that stop us or pull our attention away. So the thought is here is the more energy that you feed into either the distraction or where you're heading, that's what's going to happen. So when you put more energy or feed that energy into what your desire is, the actions come. And this is where the real magic happens. So let's say you have a burning desire to start a business or embark on a new career path. The more attention you place on researching, you're taking some inspired action, you're learning, the more opportunities and ideas will start flowing into your life. Now, my hope is you can think back to a time in your life, or maybe you're in that right now, where that happened, where you were excited about something, things just tended to flow. It moved, you were motivated to do the things that you needed to do to take that inspired action, hence why it's inspired action, to allow it to flow into your life. So that includes some honesty also about what you want. So when we do that, we naturally give that more attention, and that heightened attention then magnifies that power of attraction. So it's also, though, crucial to remember that the principle works both ways. And if you constantly focus on what you don't want, that expands as well. Many times I'll have people say to me, well, I don't want this. And the immediate response that I say is, well, okay, that's fine, but what do you want? So practice saying what you want. Sometimes it's as simple as, if someone asks you where you want to go to dinner or where you want to go to lunch, you actually use your voice and say where you want to go. Now, that one sometimes can be triggering for people because we have grown up in families that make us feel like we're being selfish if we say where we want to go. I've gotten to the point anymore. My dad and I were in a conversation the other day. He asked my opinion about something. And I said, well, you're asking my opinion. Here's my opinion. He started to try to argue with me, to, getting into that level one listening of, I have an agenda and I want you to agree with me. And I stopped him and I said, Dad, wait, you asked my opinion. I'm giving you my opinion. If you don't want my opinion, don't ask, right? If you'd like to have a generative conversation around that, I'm happy to do so, but I'm not arguing with you about which one of our opinions is right. We have the right to have our own opinions. So with that being said, make sure your attention is focused on what you truly desire. That's really how you magnetize those right opportunities and experiences into your life. Now, part of what happens too is then we start to talk about it because we're excited about it. And then other people hear about it. And that's that 7 degrees of separation, right? Where sometimes things are brought into our life because we're talking about it and we're so excited about it. So another piece of this is about expectation. And I will say to you, expectation is like planting a seed. And if we have desire without expectation, it's like planting that seed, but we don't water it. We don't give it any sunshine. So therefore it's fruitless. I've used this example before, how there was this prophet, and this was in ancient times, that came to the city, and the folks were like, we've had such a drought. How can we not have a drought anymore? And we don't understand why the universe, excuse me, why the universe is not allowing us to have rain. And the prophet looked around and he said, basically, you're not expecting it. You don't have the water pots out to gather the water. So you're giving out then a confusing order to the universe. So this expectation is really, it's critical. It's the drawing force of your mind that brings that desire into reality. So sending mixed signals to the universe is giving the universe a range. It's saying you want something, but you're not really expecting it. You don't really believe that it's going to happen. I've done this before. And so it's important to kind of take a look and step back for a moment and see, am I saying I desire something, but I'm actually expecting something else to happen? Now, if you are expecting something else to happen, chances are there's some kind of bind in there. There's a lie, usually, because it creates confusion and chaos. So when we think about that, you don't want to send mixed signals to the universe because it confuses the universe and then nothing happens, right? Or doom and gloom. When people say to me, oh, I've had this happen and this happen and this happen, and I'm like, whoa, you need to change your vibration because you're going to continue to have those same things, types of things happen because you're attracting it. When you think about expectation, though, that aligns your thoughts and your energy in a way that calls the desired outcome towards you. So expectation, again, works both ways. If you expect the good, more good will flow into your life. And it's an opportunity to see miracles in everything. And if you expect the difficulties, then that's what you will experience. Now, bad things happen sometimes, right? And I bring to mind when my mom passed away, her sorority did like an annual walk, and this walk raised funds to give away scholarships. So although I would have given anything to have my mom physically present here, there was a miracle that came out of that, and there was good that came out of that because there were many people that got to go further their education because my mom had such a passion about education, and her sorority sisters had such a love for her that they created this opportunity, right? So that's part of that, looking for those miracles. So I want you to remember something. Expect a continuous increase of good. And when you expect that continuous increase of good as evidence of your faith in the universe. I was talking to my best friend the other day, and she said, Debbie, I find it really interesting. And I relate and say that I'm a follower of Christ. I struggle these days saying I'm a Christian just from the point of we've got this nationalized Christian faith, and I don't agree with any of that. But I am a Christ follower. And so for me, the universe and having faith, she was saying, it's really interesting to me that a lot of the people that I work with, that are people of faith and have a Christian religion, have the least amount of faith of anyone that she's worked with. And I thought, wow, that's really sad how we have lost faith in God, right? Or the universe, whatever that is for you. So expect the continuous increase of good as evidence of our faith in God or our faith in the universe. Know that any challenge or difficulties are not setbacks. They're really opportunities for growth. We kind of joke in the mastermind. They're like, okay, I've had enough growth opportunity for right now, right? Like sometimes you just want to catch your breath, but knowing that it can create excitement. It can help you with that universal law of polarity of either fear or excitement. And I choose excitement when I'm in a growth opportunity. As a matter of fact, this might sound a little kooky to you, but I went up skiing by myself the other day, and I thought, you know what? I haven't done a couple of these runs, and I kind of get a little like hitch, like, ooh, I'm going by myself. There's not a lot of people here. What if something happened? And I'm like, whoa, where is that coming from? Right. And I thought, oh, this is an opportunity for growth. I'm strong. I'm healthy. I know how to ski well. Why wouldn't it be any different than the runs that I enjoy doing all the time? So it's about that in the moment, shifting that for yourself, because what happens is that expands our capacity to receive even more. And so I want you to think about that for a moment. The universe is always for us. It wants us to grow, to expand, and to align with the best version of ourselves. So when difficulties do arise, don't view them as blocks, but rather as stepping stones towards the fulfillment of your desire. I always think about Raiders of the Lost Ark and how he's going through the cave, and the one big huge pillar stone is there and he has to take a step, and it looks like there's no step in front of him, but he takes the step knowing that it's going to appear, and there it appears, and then he takes the next step, right? And that fulfills the desire of the thing that he's going after. Now, the last piece of this is supply and demand. And so God always provides, the universe always provides. And once we combine that desire with expectation, the ways and the means to materialize this, as I mentioned before, appear. So the universe, and again, however you want to look at that, acts as our ultimate supply. You've heard me talk about the vase before, where we have this unending supply of energy. And this supply is always available. But we first must be conscious of this desire and expect its manifestation. When you're clear about what you want and hold the expectation that it's already on its way, then the universe responds. This is why it's so important to live in the present moment. And before I go further with this idea of the present moment, I want you to think about that. If something's not happening that you want to have happen, it's important to go back and investigate with the lens of observation bent back on you, not the lens of judgment, but just looking at it and saying, okay, have I been really clear about what I want? Have I held the expectation and am expecting it to happen? And if not, find somebody to help you uncover why you're not expecting it. Because those are deep-seated subconscious messages, and that it's already on its way, knowing that it's here and it's all here now. Kind of investigate those three things. And if there's something kind of niggling for you, then seek out some help to figure that out. So knowing that when we're clear, we have the expectation, knowing that it's here and it's here now, and that the universe is going to respond, that requires us to live in the present moment. The other day I was talking to someone about how I've really been working on trying to stay in the present moment. And so I'm so present that I forget to take photos. Now, some of you know me and have known me for years. I used to take hundreds of photos. My nickname was Debarazzi. And so for me to forget to take photos at things, that is one area that I used to hide behind, was the camera. So that tells me I'm more in the present moment. Because if you think about it too, God and the universe, they don't operate on human timelines. The universe responds to our energy, our desire, that frequency that we're putting out, right? So that law of attraction, it's also the law of vibration. That vibration that we're putting out brings it forward. So this is why it's so important to live in the present moment. Because again, and I'm repeating this because it's important, the universe doesn't operate on human timelines. It responds to our energy, our desires, our vibration, and how much we're expecting it to happen. So when you think about this, as you align yourself with your desires, you're going to notice that pathways will appear for you. Now, sometimes we resist those pathways. We resist the opportunities. And sometimes we put the resistance up before it even happens. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs that have deep-seated money stories that they turn the money away before it's even like they have money coming to them. They have clients that want to work with them, but they push them away because of these money stories. So part of that is then unlocking those messages. So please reach out. I'd love to help you do that. But what happens then too is sometimes we get in our brain how we think this should manifest, what it should look like. A lot of time it comes in unexpected ways. So I would offer up to you and invite you to stay very open and trust in the process. Know that the supply is limitless and focus on that which you want. So to wrap things up in this episode, understand, please, that the law of attraction is always working, whether we're aware of it or not. And it depends on where our focus is. Desire sets the wheels in motion. The attention gives it power, and expectation draws it in. And the supply is always available. So I would ask you a couple of questions. What's your desire? Where is your attention at? Where are you maybe getting distracted? And most importantly, do you expect the best for yourself? You can start applying these principles today. And I'm interested to know and see and watch your life begin to transform. So I would ask you, if you found today's episode really helpful, please share it with someone who could benefit from hearing this message. And as always, I'd love to hear your questions, your thoughts, or your experiences with the law of attraction. So drop me a message or leave a comment, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. I'm Debbie Heiser, and until next time, keep attracting the life you truly desire. That's a wrap for this conversation. I'm so glad you've joined us. Remember to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch all of our future episodes, and visit us at thelituplife.com for details on how you can become part of the Lit Up Life community. A quick shout out to my friend Jackie Wilson and her friends, the creators of our amazing theme music. Thanks so much for allowing us to share this perfect song with our listeners. Looking forward to having you listen in to our next episode.
See the colors